Hi guys, Chamion here from Food by Chamion. I am going to do for you all what became a classic, right? It was very well received. I have a demo on it, but I want to do over or record again this one, especially for my YouTube channel and my business page on Facebook, both under the same name, Food by Chamion. So as I get into things, you're going to understand what I'm doing. You're going to understand why it became a classic. You will understand why it is so well loved. Because, in Trinidad, around the Christmas season, black cake is a cake containing alcohol, caramelized sugar, and lots of fruit. Some persons might even put nuts in it, but growing up, we didn't put nuts in it. I want to say that it's a classic, right? But I removed a lot of the old way of doing it. I came up with like a modern version, if you will, and it became a hit, like I said. So in front of you, you are seeing some golden raisins and some other raisins. I don't like sultanas and things like that in it, right? I just don't. And then some of these things, it tastes a bit, the seedy crunching is a turn off for me. I have some maraschino cherries and I have some mixed peas right below here. I put them all in one of the containers, but it's right there, right? So I'm getting ready now to put them down in my food processor. This is the smaller version of my food processor. My food processor is a nesting set. So this is a smaller bowl. I want to give this tip now. If you work with seasoning with your food processors, it don't come out, no matter how you wash it. So you want to reserve, if you have a nesting set like I do, reserve this one solely for things like that, right? So I'm getting straight into it. I'm just going to add my cherries and so forth and get it chopped. And then, of course, I'll add my liquids in the bowl when I'm done, because I don't want spillage, okay? It's just using a lot of common sense. If for some reason we are having sticking issues, I will simply just add about 2 tablespoons averaging of my rum. I am using a very strong, I'm not going to poly brand, a very strong white rum that is native to Trinidad and Tobago. When I'm running the processor, you won't be hearing me, right? You use the white rum of your choice. So if you want to use dark rum, the color of the rum isn't important. But I am using a very strong rum that is native to Trinidad and Tobago. From the time I say that, a lot of my fellow Trinidadians are going to know what I'm speaking about. So I'm going to pulse. Right? So about here is where I wanted to. I won't go finer than that because I don't want to be trying to figure out what it is. I don't want it mushy. Right? It smells just lovely because, of course, the fruits releasing all these aromas and all these fragrance and so forth. As I sometimes remember, I always tell you, please don't get frustrated when you are working in your kitchen. Remember, I always tell you, please don't get frustrated, right? So at times my gadgets, they behave a little, at times. That's okay, because you notice I didn't get frustrated. And the nesting bowl is not a bowl that I use a lot. Like I said, it's reserved for when I have jobs like these to do. So I don't make pepper sauce and my seasonings and the like in it, because I don't want, and you should take that tip too, I don't want my desserts and stuff tasting like seasoning. That local seasoning mix and blend we make here in Trinidad is pretty powerful stuff. And there is no way anyone can enjoy cakes and so forth that have that high taste of seasoning. It will be a turn off. Right? As I progress with the demo, I'm going to tell you all a lot of stuff. I'm going to tell you all a lot of stuff as I progress with this demo. If you want to know, if you must know how much, just as I will say, about 1.5 cups of the golden raisins mixed with some other ones, and it's exactly 1/2 cup of mixed fruits and exactly 1/2 cup of maraschino cherries. I'm going to add my white Trinidad and Tobago, one of our brand of rum, right now. If you are thinking that you don't like alcohol, you like to try this cake and you want to put alcohol in it, I would suggest, I'm also going to put a bit of cherry brandy in there, okay? I will suggest now for you that you use a malta in there. Persons make it with malta that can't stand the alcohol, and that's it. If you might be able to tolerate the alcohol, you just want it coming through very faint, use less, and you can use aromatic bitters, our local bitters. Now this is going to soak for about 2 days. Usually during the Christmas season in Trinidad and Tobago, let me tell you, I will not be a Trini, and my fellow Trinidadians might not forgive me if I don't say this. This is soaked sometime for 6 weeks. This next year that I did here in advance, or 2 months. I kid you not. Why so long? Why so long? Simply because they want that intense flavor coming through in the cake. Some of these cakes is not for the faint of heart. When you taste it, you're gonna be like, whoa. It's not for the faint of heart. So, like I said, I'm gonna get some cherry brandy down in there. Right this minute, I'm going everything. I'll tell you all exactly how much I'm going to use. I'll say I'll use probably a half cup, okay? The brand of cherry brandy I'm using also is also a local brand. We have an amazing company here, right? A distiller company, very amazing, well recognized company, right here in Trinidad and Tobago, believe it or not, right? Remember, baking is a science or Formula 1 of move and it's downhill. So this is the color of our cherry brandy. I'm going to use exactly maybe 4 tablespoons or more. Well, that was a little more than 4 tablespoons. I'm going to tell you what, because the glass that I'm using, it's 8 tablespoons that I use. I just want to show you guys, even though it's empty, that tablespoons is here. So I use 8 tablespoons, okay? You're going to cover this in a place. You don't have to refrigerate it because, of course, what alcohol does is it preserves. You're going to leave it out of the fridge and you're just going to leave it to sit. You're going to have to cover it very tight. And you leave it to sit until you are ready for it. You're going to follow all the steps that I'm going to follow, right? Remember, I said this is a cheat. I didn't say it before, but I'm going to say it now. It's a cheat version of the traditional Trinidad and Tobago black cake or fruit cake. Some will even call it rum cake. It's the same thing, just known by different names, okay? So you see the nice color, our cherry brandy gave it, and the maraschino cherries releasing its red, perfect nice red color that it's known for. So you guys keep watching as I bring this together. You're going to be amazed. You're going to understand why it became the classic that it became so soon when I did the first one. You're going to understand and have a greater appreciation now, and you will not no longer be intimidated by Trinidad and Tobago fruit cake. You won't. And by the way, this cake in Trinidad and Tobago, it's always sold by weight. You know, traditionally, you could go get a sponge cake or any other cake and you just buy it. But over here, it's always sold by weight because keep in mind, it contains fruit, so it's heavy. And the fruit, it sits in liquid for a period of time, right? So you're going to have something like a small one like the size of a loaf pan, what we call in Trinidad and Tobago a bread pan, it's going to be ridiculously expensive. And I'm not talking it's going to be high like a bread. I'm just talking it's going to be shaped like a loaf. It's going to cost a lot. Right? So you are going to keep watching as I bring it together for you all. And you are going to thank me for it because we are not very far away from the Christmas season of 2017. Right, guys? So just keep watching. So guys, believe it or not, this mixture of my rum and fruits for my fruit cake was soaking for approximately 3 weeks, believe it or not. Because of editing and technology, you all would not have realized that, but I'm saying it was, so it's going to be very strong. I'm going to get right into things this minute. So here is where it gets different. In front of you, you are seeing my entire setup, right? Here is where it gets different. I'm going to be using a yellow box cake, store-bought box cake mix. I know a lot of you might not understand what I'm doing, I want to say now it's a cheap version of Trinidad and Tobago black cake or Christmas cake, fruit cake. So for those of you that never made it, you want to try it, you find it somewhat expensive, or you find probably it's never what you would like it to be, this is going to be the demo for you to try it on your own, and you're going to love it. I've had persons that tried it told me that they preferred this one more than the traditional cake. A lot of times when we have the traditional black cake, it tastes very much like a bread pudding texture. I know some of you understand fully what I mean or what I meant when I said that, right? So I'm going to just get my cake mix, my yellow cake mix. Don't buy any other color because when we think about it, the cake looks and butter, when we cream it, it's always a yellow, right? So I'm just going to do that. I'm emptying the contents of that cake mix directly into my bowl. It doesn't matter which brand, the brand isn't important. What is important is that you get a yellow store-bought cake mix. If you are not using parchment like I am going to do in my cake pan, I would suggest that you reserve some of your cake mix powder to coat your pan with after you butter it. Or you can use a cooking spray that is geared towards baking, not cooking, but baking. A baking spray, I should have said. Right? You want to follow through and prepare the cake just as the manufacturer suggested, or manufacturer, right? So that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to get, I already pre-measured everything, like everything. So I have exactly what they required on the box for my cake. And I'm just going to start now by adding, what I'll tell you, if they ask for 1 cup of water, you simply use half, because remember, there is alcohol, a lot of it in, which is liquid also, in our rum and fruit mixture. So just start with half, according to the box measurements, and you go from there. I know you all understood that because it was quite easy what I said. I'm just going to use pure vanilla extract, a tablespoon. We don't make cake here in the Caribbean unless we put vanilla in it, right? So I'm just going to, you don't need an electric whisk. I will be using my own, but you don't need that. I will be using my own. You can use your traditional whisk if you don't own one. This is going to do perfectly okay and the exact same thing. Before I put any fruits and all of that, I want to get my cake mixture together. It's as simple as that. As simple as that. And that is why I use the yellow one versus the white. When we bake here in Trinidad or the Caribbean, I like to think also we use some spices. So I'm just going to use my my citrus. It's a multi-use tool. So I'm just going to use it to get some tonka bean seed. I don't know how much of you are familiar with tonka bean. If you live international, you might not know what I'm speaking about whatsoever, right? I'll just show you what it looks like. This is what tonka bean seed looks like. I just want a bit of it in my cake batter before I even combine my other stuff, because I happen to love how tonka bean seed tastes in a lot of baked goods. Not too much because it's somewhat powerful. The scent of it is unlike any other spice you will come across. It's just the most amazing about it. So I'll say that was about 1 teaspoon. Yes, it's unlike any other spice that you will use. And imagine I use half cup of water, and this is what my cake batter or mix looks like. I'm going to now add my fruits. I want all of the fruits in it, so I'm going to use a spoon that have holes in it. It's somewhat like a strainer. Right, so I'm going to use that tool because I don't want to get all the alcohol in there. Remember, baking is a science or formula, and even when we are using box or store-bought stuff, we still want to play it safe, okay? It just smells so lovely. At the start of the demo, you all will see all that I did. It's not too much. Everything just looks so pretty already. So pretty. I'm just going to combine it, and then I'm going to add our caramelized sugar, or what we call here in the Caribbean, browning. And even though I use the spoon that have the holes in it, a lot of my rum mixture liquids went into my batter. So remember, when you go back and you listen, you will hear emphasis placed on follow the box measurements for your cake mix, and then you go from there and do all the other steps that I'm doing, okay? It's really this simple. Some of you might be thinking why you didn't think of this before, or how come no one told you about this method. This method isn't new. I did it a year ago. I recorded it for a particular local cook group. And I think it was groundbreaking for a lot of persons. A lot of persons told me that, you know, it was something that they never imagined. Even professional bakers spoke to me about it and said that also. Right, so I just added some of the caramelized sugar. That coloring, that will be on you. How much you want or how dark you want your cake is on you. But I'll tell you something. Traditional Trinidad and Tobago fruit cake or black cake is very dark. The name black cake, a lot of us call it here black cake here in Trinidad. The name gives it away. This is what the caramelized sugar looks like. And this one box cake gives us a lot of cake. You can easily get 3 nice size cakes with this one box cake. It just smells so good. Really, really good. Took out all the guesswork, took out all the intimidation, everything out of it. And this cake, because of the alcohol involved, it stays well for very long. Very, very long. So I'm just going to add the rest of my caramelized sugar browning, as it is known here. A quick kitchen tip: when you are working with spatulas like I do, always reserve some for use only with your desserts. Because seasonings, they are very strong, they stay onto these things a lot of times, okay? So I'm using one that I have strictly reserved for kitchen use. It was that easy, guys. I don't want my cake darker than this. Remember what I just said. If you want it darker, you know, you add more browning. If you live in Guyana, I wouldn't suggest that you use syrup in this. Please use the sugar, the caramelized sugar, because syrup contains cassava, and our browning here in Trinidad does not contain cassava. Okay? And of course, I have persons that will want to add some lime zest in there and so forth. Feel free to do that. You see how much cake we have? And that's why I said we use half of the half cup of water. If your store-bought mixed cake mix calls for 1 cup, because you have to remember that you will be using alcohol that's in the fruit. The fruit was in, right? So I already have my I already have my spring foam pans lined with some parchment, store-bought pre-cut parchment paper. I am using non-stick spring foam pan. If you're wondering what is a spring foam pan, it opens on the side. So this part underneath comes off. So I'm now going to just get it into my pans. You don't ever want to fill your cake pans or baking pans, because when these things hit the oven, it comes up, it rises a bit. Okay? I have to say that because I don't want persons to think, oh, why my cake is so low. When you are baking, you start thinking that your cake is too low, it's not enough, and you fill the pan or baking dish, and then you realize you have spillage in your oven or it's a mess. I said just now, if you cannot get, if you don't have, sorry, the pre-cut parchment paper, it's as simple as you using your non-stick cooking spray. Right? Of course, I'm going to add some more onto the small one. We'll need some more on the large one also, but like I said, it's going to come up, okay? Well, it will give you several cakes depending on the size of the pan that you are using. I should have said that. So I'm just going to add a bit more in this one, but you don't want to go too crazy with it, okay? Because I just said why. You don't want spillage in your oven. So if you look, you're going to see where my own is, and that's where you want to aim to have your own sit to in your pan. And it's as easy as that. The color is just perfect for me. Some of you might be thinking it's too pale, but it's perfect for me. We all do things differently. So if you want to make several cakes, I'll suggest that you buy, and you want to be safe, I'll suggest you buy 2 boxes of the cake mix, store-bought cake mix. You all understood that, I know you did. So it's going to bake. I don't like to speak on time and so forth, bake settings of ovens, because it varies by the age and model of your oven, and whether it's gas or electric, range or stove, and all of that. So you know how your oven behaves, just monitor it like I always say when you put things to bake, and always go for like the medium settings on your oven. Always go for there, okay? But monitor it and never put it to the lower rack of your oven. You always want to put your stuff to bake on the upper rack or the middle rack, not the bottom, okay? Not the underneath rack closest to the floor of your oven. So keep watching as I bring it together. So you see where it's sitting again. I just want to point out that you see where it's sitting. It's going to rise somewhat. You see how far away from the top of the pan it is? Yes. Right? So just keep watching as I bring it to a close for you all. I will show you guys the final product, right? So guys, this is our cheap cake. It's already sliced. I want you all to see the texture of it. It's brilliant. It's just really, really brilliant. You know, in Trinidad here, our fruit cake is more of a bread pudding texture, and I spoke about it at the middle of the demo, and I said that our fruit cake, it's always so moist that it's more like bread pudding, right? And even though it was box cake used, no one will know that. Anyone that's gonna have a slice of this cake, my cheap Trinidad and Tobago black cake, they won't know anything. They won't know anything. And I must tell you all, the tonka bean, it made a lot of difference. The cake just smells so ridiculously amazing, you all won't believe, right? So you all have seen the texture that we have. You will understand why I said I didn't want to add more caramel or brownie, right? Because this is exactly what I think is perfect color for a black cake. I want to speak and say that for those of you that might be asking, Chamion, how will I know when my cake is cooked? If you're a newbie baker or whatever, this is what we use to know when it's cooked. Just a basic standard cake tester. You insert it When it comes out clean, you look at it, you're gonna see nothing is on it. You know it's when it comes out clean from being inserted into your cake or your banana bread and so forth that you're making, you know it's done. If you don't own one of this, use a toothpick and insert and expect the same thing, right? So this is what we have. I want to say also, when you bake cakes and bread and so forth, because it sweats a lot when it's hot, you want to get it out of your baking pan immediately and get it onto a cooling rack. This is the cooling rack that I use to get my cake on to cool. It was cooling for about 2 hours. That's how long I had it just cooling for. So you want to use it. My oven is huge, ridiculously huge. Of course, it's dirty because the cake was on it, like I said. And you want to leave it to just cool down like a lot. Not some, a lot. I have a slice of the cake here. I also cut into it also for you guys to see even in more detail the texture of that my cheap Trinidad and Tobago fruit cake. No one coming into here, like I said just now, will know that it's a cheap version. It's so good. It's really, really good. And I did put some whole cherries in it, some whole red maraschino cherries. You can use that also, but it's just gorgeous. It is. And use your tonka bean seed. I get it at our fresh produce market. My international friends won't know what it is, and even if they know what it is, those that might be living in certain continents of the earth, like Africa and these places, because they access a lot of stuff and ingredients that we get here in the Caribbean, they might know it by a different name altogether, right? So this is what it looks like, guys. The pleasure of doing this was my own. When you try it, you let me know how it come out. You follow all my steps and you will have perfect cheat cake every time. I just want to say you can store it in like this, because usually when you buy it at the high-end places, it comes in a metallic sort of can. It might have some Christmas designs and so forth on it, right? Also internationally, like I said, this cake, it's used even in certain parts of the UK for wedding cakes. And yes, in Trinidad and Tobago, we also use it for wedding cake. The only thing we do is we put icing on it, royal icing or fondant, and it lasts for pretty long because the alcohol in it acts as a preserving agent. So you want to store it up properly. If you make more than 2 cakes, I'll suggest that this size, you get it down in here and you just put a sheet of parchment paper. You put one down, parchment paper, 1 sheet. Then you put your cake, a next sheet and of parchment on top, and then you put your second one. And this is, I love this a lot because it's tall enough and big enough to hold fully decorated cakes without it messing up the designs and pattern and all of that. Guys, the pleasure, it was my own as always. You all know Food by Chamion. We are all over social media. We are on Instagram. We have a Facebook page and of course YouTube channel, all under one name, Food by Chamion. If you want to come into direct contact with me for whatever reason or purpose, send me an email address, foodbychamion@gmail.com. My first name, it is spelled Chamion. Use all common letters to access the email address. Our website, it's finally finished building. It was launched a week ago or so, and it's www.foodbychamion.com. Guys, until I'm with you all, thank you for all your amazing love and support. Thank you for watching, and bye.